Over the last 6 years, I've been building this tool chest, and every tool you see here has its own place. The project stretched over about 6 years and took a little over 400 hours of work. And today I want to give you a little tour. Hi everybody! This video is a little bit different from what I usually do on this channel. Most of my videos are about recording, mixing and music production in general. But a lot of the furniture I use in my studio has been made in my workshop, and I use these tools to make them. For a long time my tools were just hanging on individual holders on the wall. That was already pretty nice, but I wanted to have everything organized nicely and in one place and protected in one tool chest. I have always admired the legendary Studley tool chest, and I wanted to make my own rendition of it. So over the next 6 years this tool chest evolved section by section until it became what you see here today. Of course, the project started by building the cabinet itself. The carcass is made from Kambala with hand-cut dovetails all around, and the drawers and the internal parts are dovetailed as well. I didn't build the two halves separately, I built one big box and then I used the handsaw and sawed it open to have like two halves that perfectly fit together. And in the beginning, of course, the chest was completely empty. And I didn't design anything in advance, I just wanted to go with the flow and design each individual section as time went by. This is the first section I made, this little twin holder for my number 4 and number 3 hand plane. And when I made this, I didn't even know where it was going to end up in the chest. And from there, the cabinet filled up slowly over the years. I spent an unreasonable amount of time just staring at tools, laying them flat on my bench and trying to figure out nice positioning for them. And each holder was fitted individually to the respective tool. Most of the regular planes live here. I have everything from a number 7, number 6, a 5.5, a 5, a 4.5, and here we have a number 4 and a number 3. And this little number 3 is actually the first plane I ever bought, and this dates back to the 1890s. So this is a 130-year-old plane that still performs wonderfully. So this little holder here was the first section I made, and back then I didn't have the idea to use magnets to hold the tools in place, so these ones just slide in like so. And next to the more standard bench planes, I also keep a lot of specialty planes in here. For example, this crowning plane from Bridge City Tools. This is designed to shape convex profiles, for example, on the edge of a tabletop. Making these small little inlays was really tricky, but I think it was well worth it, so now the plane design matches the holder perfectly. This little guy here is a tool that I made myself. It's not really a plane, it's more a guided saw, but it's called a curving plane. And it is designed to establish a curve around the board so that when you want to resaw a big board, your saw has a track to follow and gives you a straight cut. I also have a lot of miniature planes, like for example this little router plane here that is the smaller brother of the big router plane here. And I know they look a little bit like toys, but they work really well, especially on small workpieces. All these miniature tools are just small-scale versions of the original tools. There are a couple more specialty planes, like for example this shoulder plane. Here I have a scraping plane, a little bullnose plane. Here is an edge trimming plane that is designed to give you a perfect 90-degree square edge on a board. And behind this we have a little radius tool where you can put a radius chamfer around the board. On the bottom here we have 2 side rabbet planes that you can use, for example, to enlarge in a groove that you made. And speaking of grooves, one of my favorite tools in here is this little plow plane that you can use to quietly make a groove into wood, for example, for a drawer bottom. And that's the beauty of using hand tools. They are very accurate if used properly, and they are noise-free and they are dust-free. So, for example, you can make a groove on a Sunday without your neighbors hearing a loud screaming router. I only keep one saw in here. This is my little dovetail saw. I made a new handle from walnut from it because I didn't like the original handle. I have a second saw in here. The little fret saw here, I use this most of the time to cut out waste when I'm making dovetails. These saws need a little bit of maintenance and can be sharpened, and also you need to set the teeth from time to time. So here I have a nice little saw set. And when you sharpen a crosscut saw, you need to hold your file at an angle to get those pointy teeth. And what is really helpful is this little guide from Veritas where you can put in your saw file and you can set a certain angle, and it helps you keep consistent angle when filing your saw teeth. Also, this one is held in place by magnets. And when I'm done cutting my teeth, I take this little magnifying glass and can have a look at the teeth and see if they are all filed properly. I also keep a couple of auger bits in here in the sizes I use most, and it's really fun to drill holes with these. There are also some measuring tools, for example this square that I use all the time, and there are also different attachments, for example a center finder or an attachment where you can set any angle you want, not just the 90 degrees we have here. Here on top I have a marking gauge that I also use all the time. It's held in place by invisible magnets in this nice piece of olive wood. Here we have a couple of calipers. For example, this one, I like to use it to lay out spacing for dovetails. Here we have a really handy tool. This is a bar gauge that you can use to measure distances. For example, we take these attachments here. Up, one, and another one. And there are also extensions for this, or different kinds of tips. And for example, you can use it to measure the inside of this cabinet and compare two sizes or transfer sizes, like so. Could transfer this to here. You can measure diagonals and make sure that your cabinet is square, for example. Really handy. Here we have a little brass hammer that is really handy to tap the irons of wooden planes where you don't have an adjuster like on these metal planes, and you use brass so that you don't mushroom the back of your irons. I turn the handle of this hammer out of a walnut so that it matches the wood of the rest of the cabinet. Here on the bottom we have some gouges, and I also have a complete set of chisels, but they have their own little home that I made before I made this tool chest here. All these little inlay details here, they are made from a very special piece of olive wood that a friend gifted me like 15 years ago. It's very precious to me, and I only use it on very small details like these. And all in all, this thing is very precious to me, and every time I come into my workshop, I see it and it brings a big smile into my face. Okay, now let's have a look what we have in our drawers here. On the left side, I have some saw files. There are different levels in here. And these little boxes are made from sapele, all with hand-cut dovetails. The bottom box here keeps some rifflers. These are like small rasps that you can use to shape fine details. Here I have a little box with handles that I turned with different diameter holes to keep the different tangs of these saw files. And here we have some more fine little files for detail work. The right drawer also has some shaping tools. Here we have hand-stitched Italian rasps that give a very nice finish. I also made these handles, and the ferrules here are made from just copper water tubes. The wood is sapele, the same as the little boxes that I made in here. And the bottom compartment has a very fine file, which is basically a metal file, but if you use it on wood, you get a really nice shiny finish. And finally, a couple of really nice British screwdrivers that I really enjoy using. So that's the tool chest. It took me 6 years working over 400 hours on it in my free time, an hour here, an hour there. When I started, I knew that it would take an eternity to finish it one day, but it was kind of the point of it. I wanted it to let it evolve itself slowly over the years and enjoy the process. Some things just, need time to evolve, like learning a new instrument or learning a new craft or whatever. It just takes time, and if you take the time and don't rush through it, something nice may come out of it. Okay, now it's time to go back making some music and also making some music production videos again. I hope you enjoyed this little detour through my other big passion, the woodworking. Thanks for watching, take care and bye-bye.